I'm Cinder Niala with the Good Vibe Studio. This is Susan Ross with the Good Vibe Studio, and that's David DiPaolo, also with the Good Vibe Studio. The Good Vibe Studio is a place where we have meetings and meaning and for the community. We work with musicians, entrepreneurs, and artists. We also work with business owners and leaders in major corporations. We infuse creativity into their business and into how they look at the business. If you want more information, please go to thegoodvibestudio.com. And now I'd like to introduce you to Susan, who will be facilitating most of this conversation today.
Hi, I'm Susan Ross, and I still have the computer in the way. Our room's been changed like 3 times. Okay. And what we're going to try to do today is give you at least six pieces of information that you can take out in the world and improve your sales. How many people here sell? Fantastic! Okay. How many people here own a business? Excellent. You are our people. How many of you have been to a sales training in the last year that does not involve product knowledge? How many of you have been to a sales training that does involve product knowledge? A lot of people? Okay. So, enthusiasm is the mother of invention, somebody famous once said, and that's why we try to infuse a little enthusiasm in everything we do. Sales is such a personal reflection of who you are that, you know, if you're not comfortable with who you are and what you're selling, you're going to have issues. So part of the idea of the 6 steps is that we have a bigger program called the 6-Week Business Makeover, which was developed over 10 years of my coaching and training with entrepreneurs. I found that the 6 basic pieces that people are missing are very common to any business. So like when I do a mastermind group, we can have 10 different businesses masterminding together, and they all have the same issues. So today, I'm going to give you an hour and 6 steps. Each step has 1 tool, and then 1 additional tool that you can get on our website that's too many pieces of paper for us to print, that are the things that I found personally, and from all the trainings that I've done over the last 18 years, will help you. It's the 6 things that are missing most often for most salespeople. I've worked with salespeople who've been selling for 20 years and make $100,000 to $200,000 a year, and I come in and they go, what is she going to teach us? And what I've learned from those people is that they have the same problems. They know their products backwards and forwards, but the psychology piece is missing. So the premise of this whole 6-week, 6-step sales mastery is that sales is, in my opinion, 80% preparation and 20% execution. Would anybody agree or disagree with that? Okay. So, and what we're promising is that we're going to give you, at least in 1 hour, a few things that you can take back and feel more confident about, that you can measure your results with. Do salespeople know what they say about measurements? You can't manage what you don't. Oh, come on! You can't manage what you don't measure, and that's the thing. Salespeople, we tend to be creators, and so the measuring and the statistics and the forecasting, planning, you tend to get lost in that. But those can be your best friend if you know how to use them. So, the 6 steps to everything in my world, whether it's sales or whether it's business development or even in life, I found that it applies. These are them. Mindset, and I know that's an overused term in sales if you've heard it before. Mindset to me means your vision, your values, your purpose, your goals. What's your vision for your business? Is it clear? Do you know what it is? Is it on paper? I go into companies all the time, and I know Cinder does too, and we say, do you guys have a mission, a vision? They go, yeah. Okay, what is it? Well, let me find it. It's under the desk. It's on the wall. That kind of thing. You got to have something that you're working towards. Otherwise, you know, Alice in Wonderland, what did she say? If you don't know where you're going, any road will do. So what they found is, and they're finding this in education, they're finding it everywhere, it comes from within, it comes from a vision, it comes from a passion. It comes from being congruent with what you're doing with who you are. You know, if you don't get up every day and feel good about what you're selling or what you're doing, maybe you're not selling it or doing the right thing. So that's a quick introduction. So mindset, like I said, means your vision and your values and your purpose and goals. VVPG, all the time. And in order to have a clear vision of what it is you're trying to accomplish in your life, you need to know who you are. And this is something that corporate people have a really hard time with. You have to know yourself. You have to really know yourself, and you have to work on yourself. Because guess what? If you wouldn't buy you, who's going to buy you? If you don't feel good about yourself and who you are, and women, we're the worst at this. You know, the last one on our list is ourselves. So I know it sounds a little basic, but feeling confident, taking care of yourself, spending time training. The top salespeople in the world, the top 1 or 2% that make in the millions, they spend 10% of their time learning, training, reading, retooling, because selling to this generation, this next upcoming generation, is not what it used to be. It's not about selling, it's about influencing, it's about relationships, and it's about rapport. So one of the things we're going to talk about a little bit is how you can create rapport. And creating rapport means meeting your client at their level and deciding that you're going to ask more questions and make fewer statements. When you sell, do you ask more questions, or do you make more statements? Anybody?
Questions.
Okay. So everybody's okay with that concept? You know, and then there's what we call the low self-esteem conversation and the high self-esteem conversation. The low self-esteem conversation is, hi, I'm Susan and I work for Staples and we have this new product and it takes care of all of your data and it stores it and it puts it here and it puts it there and it costs $39.95 a month. I actually saw that happen yesterday. This poor woman was standing at the counter leafing through her wallet trying to find some money, and this guy was trying to sell her something that she wasn't even. So I was with my daughter and I said, just watch this. He went on for like 4 minutes. And then she goes, thanks, bye. I was like, okay, that's a low self-esteem conversation. And it's true in life too. Almost everything we talk about in sales works with your relationship, works with your kids, because it's about communicating and finding rapport. So a high self-esteem conversation, whether it's sales or anything else, is, you know, hi, I'm Susan. Nice to meet you, Richard. Tell us what you're doing here today. Oh, do you have a computer? Oh, great. Well, are you interested in a service that might do this? Get some feedback. And when they say, no, drop dead, I don't have a computer, you stop talking and move on. So that's something to keep in mind when you're talking about mindset. And then the other point I just really want to make is that it's about deciding and it's about doing. And you have to do whatever it is that you have decided and follow through, because really the best definition of success is doing what you say you're going to do, whether it's for yourself or, you know, has anybody ever decided to quit smoking, lose weight, make more money? We all do that. So deciding and doing are two different things. And here's the parable. 5 frogs are sitting on a fence. One decides to jump. How many are left? Quick.
5.
Good salespeople. Because deciding is not doing. Okay, so I can't say enough about mindset. In our workshops, we do a whole day on creating or recreating your vision, getting a tight value statement that you feel really, really, really good about, a set of short-term goals and long-term goals, and it's a process. Getting it on paper, because business owners were the worst about thinking on paper, which is the next thing, which is organization. Organization comes from taking everything that you have in your passion and your vision, your values and goals, and plugging it in somewhere. And in sales, I mean, there's days we could do on this, but the basic piece of it in sales is you've got to have a passion. You've got to present on purpose. You have to love what you do. It has to come through. Because otherwise, I mean, there's like 47 things I want to say today, and I might get some of them, I might not, but I'll get the message across in either case, because I know my material and I know what I'm talking about, and I'm really passionate about making everybody who wants to be a great salesperson and influence it. So, passion, purpose, scripting. How many use a script when they do their presentations or their phone calls or anything else?
Somewhat.
Okay. And how many people track? Like if you're making a presentation, do you have a record somewhere that says how many phone calls you made, how many appointments you had, and that's it. Who does that? Oh, this is totally a group of salespeople. Okay. Do you know that the most successful salespeople in the world track everything? And I learned this when I spent 10 years in private education. I had my own college for 10 years, but I did 8 years before that as an admissions director. We had to track everything. So we knew how many dollars it cost for that phone to ring, depending on where the source was, how many calls we had to get how many people in the office, to get how many sales in the seats. And so what's great about that is once you learn how to do it, it's very simple. You can sit there at the end of the year with your coach and say, I want to make $176,000 next year. And I can tell you how to do that. Because we know you need to have so many phone calls, to have so many appointments, to so many people who actually show up for their appointment, what to do if they don't through the 6 principles of influence, which is part of the sales process. And then I've had salespeople just think we walked on water because we were able to tell them at the end of the first year, you want to make 100 next year, here's what you got to do. And in 1989 to 95, we were all making 6 figures because we were taught and we were shown and we were required to do these things, scripting and tracking. Okay, scripting. What do I mean by script? By script I mean continuity. So when, let's just say, there's many kinds of sales, but let's just say that it's a phone call, somebody calls you up. What's the worst thing you can say when somebody calls you up? What should you not say when you get a sales call or when somebody approaches you about a sale? Anybody have any things that you know you shouldn't say?
I don't know.
That's a very good answer. Okay, anything else come to mind?
Not interested.
Okay. Okay, so, yeah, call you back. Okay, how about this? Hi, well, here, let's just play. Richard, just call me up and say you're interested in buying, you're interested in getting a house loan. Hello?
Hello.
Hi, it's Susan. Can I that's what I'm not supposed to say. Hi, this is the Good Vibe Studio. This is Susan.
I'm interested in a house loan.
Okay. What's your name?
My name's Richard.
What's your address? What's your phone number? What's your firstborn child? What's your mother's maiden name? Okay, that's what you don't do. So annoying. You have to build rapport. And building rapport comes from knowing how to read somebody. If somebody like me calls, you can tell me a story. You know, if somebody who's a left-brain engineer type, they don't want to hear a story. They want 5 bullet points. So you have to learn how to read people and build rapport. So a way to turn that around, and this is why I'm talking about a script. By a script, I don't mean you read this and you talk like this, like when you call Verizon Wireless and hold for 3 hours and they say, we apologize for that. That's not what I mean. What I mean is you have a system and you have a script that tells you what points you want to cover. Because if I'm the sales manager or the business owner, I'm going to know that if all 16 of you were selling our product, that everybody you spoke to got the same piece of information. All of it. Like when we sold education, everybody on the first day of school needs to know everything they're supposed to know. Well, if they talk to her and this one and that one, they got a different story, that's not going to work. So it's for consistency. And it's also so at the end of the day, if you've made 37 phone calls and talked to 37 people, you've got post-it notes going, wait, did I give this one the... I don't remember who I told. This way you know. You've got all the information, you know what they're buying, why they're buying, what they're looking for. Okay, so the next point I want to make, Senator, I'm going over. No, I'm not just telling you to just keep me on track. I'll give you the whole 6-month course in an hour if I can. And you'll go away completely confused, and the confused mind never buys, so we don't want to confuse you. Because we want you to enroll in our courses, to be perfectly honest. Okay, so what you have to be careful of is controlling conversation. So here's how a script works. Hi, Richard, I'm so glad you called. I'm going to try to help you as best I can. Richard, can I ask you first, who referred you to me?
A friend of mine.
Okay, does anyone know why we asked that?
Thank you. Track it.
Track it for sure, but it also, go ahead.
Well, I asked that because I give commissions to people who refer us.
But I'm not going to tell Richard that, but that's a good answer. The reason you ask, the reason I say that is because it sounds better than, how do you hear about us? Who referred you is a subtle implication that everybody refers me people, and you can too. So it's a nuance, okay? So who referred you? Okay, take control of the conversation. This is the most important thing. What's the first thing people ask when they call you up?
What's the price?
How much is it? And then guess what? You lose because you're on the wrong end of that conversation. Why do you think they ask, how much is it?
We've already shopped around.
That's one reason. What's another reason?
To throw you off.
Well, if they're me. The number one reason that I think people... Oh, I'm sorry.
They know what their cutoff is, maybe.
Well, yeah, but also, they don't know what to ask. They've never bought a mortgage before. They've never bought a $15,000 training program before. They've never bought whatever it is before. So I'm telling you, in the 20 years I did this in private education, I don't think more than 5% of the time people objected to a qualified person who's got authority, this is one of the principles of influence, is authority, and you know, obviously I know what I'm talking about. So when you call me and I say, Richard, do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions so that I can better service your needs? Guess what happens? They go, oh, thank God, she's going to make up the questions. I don't have to. They don't know what to ask. And that has helped so many salespeople who are so afraid of, you know, dancing around the whole thing. Take control. But you have to really feel confident about that. So do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions? And you are going to get at the end of this a synopsis of everything I'm telling you, just so you know. But feel free to take notes. So ask permission to ask questions. That's huge. It shows respect. It shows authority. And so then you start asking questions. And the questions are industry specific, but the important thing is that you have a list of questions that you ask that leads them through the process, which means that the only solution in the end, the only answer in the end, is they need to buy whatever it is you have. So the scripting piece is for consistency. It's how to grow your business. It falls under organization and planning, but it also falls under outreach and sales. Make sense so far? Is everybody with me? Okay. And then I said to somebody else earlier, you can't manage what you don't measure. There's a whole series of tools on that, and managing what you don't measure, or managing and measuring, has to do with how you, schedule your day as well. What percentage of your time do you think a great salesperson spends actually engaged in selling? Generating income, not marketing, not networking. What percentage of your time do you think you should spend selling? Anybody?
10%?
So a good salesperson should spend 10% of their time selling?
No.
The average salesperson, according to a published study, is 12%. And the rest of the time, they're making documents, and they're blah, 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 and they're doing who knows what. This is the Pareto principle. You've all heard 80-20. And I really believe that, 80% of it's preparing. So I don't mean you only spend 20% of your time selling. I mean, you need to be prepared. When you go into a meeting, you need to know what it is you want to ask, what it is you want to achieve, what the outcome's going to be. Because if you don't have a picture in your mind of what the next step is, your client sure doesn't. So it's important to keep that in mind, and that you try to focus your time on generating income if that's your job. And the best way to do that is, in the workshop that we do, you track your time for 10 days, all day long, 12 hours a day. And you will be amazed at how much time is lost. Most people lose 2 hours a day, sometimes a lot more. 2 hours a day, if you do all the math, I forgot what the actual number is, it's something like 800, it's like 2 months. So the 2 hours a day that I'm wasting, what could you do with 2 months of free time? You could learn another language. You could there's a million things you can do. So just being mindful, and again it all circles back to the mindset. Being mindful of what you're doing happens when you think on paper and you track things. So you track your time, you track your sales data, the calls, the appointments, the shows, the sells, the non-sells, and all of the marketing pillars that you have. So outreach. Outreach covers branding, marketing, networking, influencing, sales, and most importantly, follow-up. And follow-up, I can't tell you, in the 6 months that Cinder and I have been working together at our studio, how many people have come in and pitched us on something. Because everybody loves the studio, everybody loves David, everybody, and we've had at least 5 that I can think of where we were going to hear back in a day or 3. Can I just tell you how many people never? Okay, so distinguish yourself. Do what you promise you're going to do. It's so easy. It's just not that hard to follow up and maybe even do a little more than you said you were going to do. So the branding, the marketing, the networking, all that is a whole other part of sales, but it's not selling. It is a little bit. Somebody asked me if our mastermind groups were networking groups, and I said no. They're business development, business building groups, but you're still networking with 12 people, and everybody knows 80 people, so 12 times 8 is 720 people that you've influenced. So, those are all parts of the sales. But the main crux of selling is the passion part and the confidence part. Why do you guys think, does anybody know why children are such great salespeople?
Fearless and they're real.
They're fearless.
Persistent.
Persistent.
They're real.
They're real. They're honest. Yeah.
Cute.
Charming.
They're cute. They're charming. See, the outside has to reflect the inside. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
never take no for an answer.
They don't take no. They negotiate. They have no fear of losing. Watch an 8-year-old. What's that show where you're smarter than a 3rd grader? Watch an 8-year-old. But mommy, if I get the puppy, I will clean up, and I will do this, and I will do... We all were born to sell in one way or another. But if you watch a child, it's a really refreshing way to kind of regroup that a little bit and just like, oh, I mean, they just want to sell lemonade so they can make nickels so they can go to the store and buy a trinket, you know? So think about that, you know, when you're redoing your sales scripting or redoing your sales pitch. And it's something I wanted to say on that, and I just lost it, but I'll come back to it. Oh, okay. So once you have got your script, which is what you're going to say, which is one of the things we're giving you. We're giving you 10 points of what you need to cover in a script, and then online you can get the whole full script that you can personalize. I really recommend that, because if there's nothing else you do, then know what you're going to say and know how it's going to be said, and that way you can measure and track, you know, how people react to things. Once you have that down, you have to figure out a way to build rapport. And building rapport, like I said before, means meeting people where they're at, you know, sort of assessing them really quickly as to what kind of personality they are. If you're pitching to an engineering firm, they're going to have one sort of personality, not stereotype people, but you can read really fast how people are, you know, how people are reading you, how people are vibing you, and you just have to come off really friendly and really honest and really congruent. And there's a principle, like you're talking about the 6 principles. Has anybody read the book Influence? Nobody? Okay, I probably read 400 sales in my 20 years. Influence by Robert Cialdini. If you read no other book, or just go onto YouTube and look him up. And it's selling for people who aren't salespeople. I get a lot of people who want to start a business or have a business, and they say, I got a business, but I can't sell.
What was his name again?
Cialdini, C-I-A-L.
One more
Dini.
time.
C-I-A-L-D-I-N-I, Robert Cialdini, and we teach that in our 6-week business makeover. And I'm just going to give you 2 principles today, 2 tools. And he did a study. He became a salesperson for I don't know how many years. He was a professor at Stanford. He went out and he sold cars, and he sold insurance, and he sold this, and he collected all this amazing data. It's for you. And one of the things he learned, one of the principles is called the liking principle. So tell me this. Richard and I are having a sales conversation. I'm selling something to him. Is it more important that Richard likes me or that I like Richard?
Richard likes you.
That Richard likes me? How many agree with that? The salesperson needs to like you.
No, no.
Very good. Why? Does anybody know why? That's why we didn't give you the cheat sheet.
People don't like things from people they don't like.
100%. And they did the study, and they found out that if my prospect here, Richard, feels that I like him, and it's sincere, it can't be, you know, phony or fake. The integrity is a huge part of this. If he feels really genuinely confident that I like you, Richard. You're a nice guy. He's going to trust me. And people buy from people they trust, bottom line. So all this stuff about trying to get them to like you, doesn't matter if they like me or not. I mean, you want them to like you, but it's more important in the study that they found that the client feels you like them. So if you right away, you know, sometimes you click with a salesperson and sometimes you just can tell right away it's not going to work. You're better off to give them to somebody else. Cinder works with companies that have 100 employees or more. I work with people that have companies that have less. And we know if I get a guy who has 150 employees and he wants leadership training at the highest level, I could do it, but she's the one. She's the diva of that kind of training. So you're better off to send them to somebody that they will mesh with. Okay, so then the other principle that I'll share with you, there's lots more in both of these, but the other one I think is the most important, one of the most important, is the principle of reciprocity, which everybody knows what that means. You help me, I help you, that kind of thing. And so there's a moment of power. There's 2 pieces of this really. I'm giving you a bonus here. When you do something extra for a client, and they say thank you, what do? Oh, no problem, it was nothing, it was easy. Okay, that's called blowing your moment of power. It doesn't make them feel special. So when you do something extraordinary for a client, which I don't know about you, but we do it all the time, you do something extra, you go the extra mile because you care, because you want their business, and they say thank you. What you say is, you're very welcome, you know, that's something we do for our very best, most important clients. Because then they know they're part of the elite group. I mean, you can't make it up and lie and all that, I'm saying, but it's for real. You let them know that they're special. Because when they hear, oh, we do that for everyone, they're like, oh, so I'm not special. And then the second part of that is something that is just a fantastic sales tool, and I've had so much success with this. I heard Cialdini speak about 8 years ago, and it's just amazing. And he told us this whole big long story, which I won't go into, you have to read the book, but it involves asking for the sale. Does anybody have a problem bridging, transitioning, asking for the deal? Ever? Oh, you're all lying. Yes, you do. Sometimes. If you're creating a flow and you're creating, you know, a dialogue, you know, sales is a dialogue, not a monologue, just like conversation is. Today is more of a dialogue than I would like it to be, but, you know, getting reactions is really important. So when you have a dialogue with somebody and you want to go to that place and ask for the sale, you always ask for the big thing or the small thing first. Like if you're selling a Jaguar or a Mustang, which one would you present first?
Jaguar.
Does anybody know why?
Which one, what was the answer?
She said the more expensive one. And why?
Because by the time you get to the Mustang, you go, oh, is that all they cost? So it's a comparison thing?
Yes, it is a comparison thing. Now, obviously, it has to be the right product for the right person, all that integrity stuff. But what they found in this study that he did, one of many, was when you ask for the big thing first and they say no, and you come back in that moment, never the next day, not tomorrow, not tonight, never beyond this moment, 70% of the time you get a yes. Can you imagine? 70% of the time. And I have used that. I had an engineer client. He's an engineer. I keep talking about
Susan,
that.
just go right back. You went too fast. When you ask for the big
For me?
thing and they say no,
Make a second offer immediately.
okay, second offer.
In that moment,
Yeah, got it.
70% yes. That's what they found. And here's how I applied it with one of my clients. It's an engineer who's a mortgage broker. He had no business being a mortgage broker. He couldn't sell his way out of a lunchbox, but that's what he wanted to do. And he wasn't meeting with people. He had clients in Beverly Hills calling. He wasn't calling back. So finally I said, look, this is my last deal. You need to go sit with these people. So he agreed. He made 10 phone calls and asked people to come to lunch. I think we would work well together. I'd like to know more about your business, which is always, I want to know more about you. You never say, I want to tell you all about me. So he called 10 people that he wanted to work with and invited them to lunch. And when they said no, he was instructed to say, I understand you're busy. How about if I drop by with coffee instead? He called me up and he goes, first of all, I got 7 lunches. And so I was like, see, you can sell. And so just little tiny things like that, even if you're a seasoned salesperson, you know, most people who are great salespeople never had training. We just learned it along the way. And so we do it innately, we do it naturally. But you plug in a little bit of psychology behind that, oh my God, there's your clarity, your confidence, your ease, your grace. You're comfortable with it because you know it's going to work. Or at least you know what you're doing. You're not just striking at straws. How am I doing for time? Keep moving up. Distinguish yourself. We already talked about that. But don't, somebody made a funny comment about that. I'll let you decide what that said. But it's really important to distinguish yourself, and you have to decide how you're going to do that. We do that by including music in a lot of our programs because we believe music inspires everything. You all need a theme song. You all need a mantra. You all need something to keep you energized. And so distinguish yourself kind of goes without saying. Okay. Next. The next principle. This is what we all fail to do. Review, revise, analyze, optimize. Be sure, tonight, Cinder and I will be sitting down, reviewing what we did today, reviewing the materials, who did we meet, how did it go, what should we do next time, who's going to bring the scotch tape, you know, that kind of stuff. And then you memorialize it, because what's working you want to captivate, and you want to remember. And if you have a team of salespeople, you want them to captivate it and replicate it. Because how often do we reinvent the wheel? And salespeople are the worst at this. When you bring together your salespeople every week to have a meeting, they should all talk about what worked this week and what didn't work this week. And then do a roundtable. Or hire me or Cinder to do it. You will not believe what kind of genius comes out of your people. But they're all doing their own thing. My husband works for a company that sells $90 million worth of wine. They never have sales meetings. They have product knowledge meetings. So when you finally get them together and you talk about sales, I did a mastermind for them 5 years ago. And at the end of the meeting, these guys who make $100,000 to $200,000 a year selling wine that you never heard of said, this is the best thing we've done in 10 years of meetings. No one ever, the guy in New York didn't know that the girl in Nevada was doing this and the person wherever was doing that. All the resource and time that was wasted was ridiculous. So bringing salespeople together, whether it's yours or whether you create a mastermind group and you exchange ideas and build on those and then memorialize them, fix them, and then systematize them back to the organization. Put them in writing so you can replicate that success and train new people. Delegate falls under focus. How many people have trouble staying on task? Anybody? How many work at home? How many fall prey to shiny object syndrome? Like suddenly I need to clean the stove with a toothbrush. I did that one time. It was the day before the Northridge earthquake, and then the next day we lost the whole house to that damn stove. So that's really a tough thing. I don't know if I said this at the beginning, but there's a lot of people who say they're solopreneurs, and I say there's no such thing as a solopreneur. Because we can't do it all. I mean, we have meetings every week, and we say, okay, so this week we have to learn what? Twitter, Facebook, WordPress, Prezi. Who knows what Prezi is? Oh my gosh, there's so much new technology. You can't do it alone. You will not make it if you don't have a team of people to work with. And that is a great thing about a mastermind group too. There's always somebody who knows how to do what you don't know how to do. So we talk a lot about strengths training and knowing your strengths. Has anyone ever taken a personality profile like a DISC or a Myers-Briggs? If you haven't, it would be a really good thing to do. There's another one called Benson Smith Strengths Finder. Because it's going to tell you what you're naturally great at, and it's going to help you try to focus on that stuff. Because it's very easy if you're a creator to get distracted and keep creating and never implement. And that's where the accountability comes in, whether it's coaching or mastermind groups. Accountability, that's why everybody has, you know, a gym, or everybody has a golf coach, or everybody has a... Bill Gates, I think I already said that, you know, talked about coaching this week. I think Sherman told me. Those guys have coaches, if it's good enough for them. So that's where the focus comes in, you know, even though this thing is unfocused, which kind of goes without saying. But it's good to be reminded. So I call it finish one challenge unto success. And this we kind of covered. Where are we with time? I don't want to... Oh, I'm talking too much. Keep going. The sales mastermind I talked about, it's where we focus on sales. We do general masterminds, but we also do sales masterminds, how to get more sales. The last thing I want to say is about the bridge language. And you're getting, I know I'm giving you a lot. I'm supposed to give you 3 things, I'm giving you everything. Bridge language is getting from that place of, I like you, Richard, we built a rapport, we both have kids, we both play golf, do you want one? Whatever I'm selling. So the bridge language is what I teach people to use and create their own. I gave you some samples. Bridge language is, it's also built on the 6 principles of influence. And saying things like, well, what we've learned is, and what we've seen is, and what our clients tell us is, because people want to do what other people, successful people do. It's one of the principles. You know, you want to do what the successful people are doing. So again, it has to be truthful and honest, but it's helping them get to the next step. What I'm hearing from you is this. Would you like to know what I would suggest? I had the most powerful sales moment probably in my whole life. I didn't know what I was selling. I was a college admissions director. I thought I was admitting. And then like 6 months later, my husband goes, "You're in sales." I'm like, what? Because we were doing intake and following a script and all that. And I was with these people, and I had been doing it for such a long time that, I don't know if anybody can relate to this, but you're doing your presentation and you're talking, and over here your head's going, what am I cooking for dinner? I wonder who's picking up the kids. And you're like, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta come back, come back. And it was the end of the day, and I was exhausted, and finally I just leaned forward in the desk and I said, do you want to know what I recommend? And they go, yes! And they leaned forward, I was like, oh my God, that's all I had to say half an hour ago. They just wanted to shut up and ask for the sale. So that bridge language is hugely important. It's part of reading the person. You know, what is it that they've told you and what is it they have clued you into, and you personalize that. You give them feedback. So once you've gone through, you know, the questions and the product description and personalizing for them, you say, well, you know, Richard, what I heard is this is your first home loan. You're a little nervous about the amount. You're not quite sure, what you can afford. It sounds like you're ready to buy, but you're just a little confused. Is that right? Say yes.
Correct.
Well, can I make a suggestion? What I would suggest is we sit down and we have a cup of coffee, and I will answer all the questions, blah, blah, and then you make your offer. Or if you're selling something huge, if you're selling airplanes, well, the next step is this. So you bridge them to that next step, and then you're ready to ask for the sale. And you all know how that works, right? When you finally ask for the sale, say, do you want one? Not like that. You know what the rule is when you ask for the sale? Hey Richard, once we have your mortgage set up, you'll have your new house and there's a wife, and oh, it's a great, here you go.
Sign it.
And then shut up, because the next one who talks buys. I mean, that's such a silly little thing, and you probably all heard it before, but you know, it's knowing when to stop talking, which sometimes is not the easiest thing for me. Okay, so I'm going to take my own advice here, and what I did was I gave you 6 steps, and they're all on here. There's a brief script, there's a brief rapport puzzle, there's the concept of liking, there's what you get from a mastermind and why you need to be in one, and online, when you go to our website, which I hope you will, there's a whole other set of tools there, really inclusive, which is on this list. You'll see what they are. And all you have to do is hit the contact and put S.C.O.R.E in the subject line, and then we'll know what to send you.
Yeah. And some of these questions are marketing, and I think you should make the distinction between marketing, that cycle of marketing and sales.
Right.
And what is marketing and what is sales?
Well, there's branding, marketing, networking, and sales. Branding is who you are and what your image is and how you want to look to the world and what it says about you. It's not selling. I mean, it is in a passive way, like Coca-Cola has a billboard. Well, that's not really selling, that's just buying brain cells. So your branding has to be very consistent. That's a whole other workshop. But who you are and what your image is out there, that's your brand. Selling is sitting down or being on the phone and presenting how you get a check, how you get money, how you monetize what you do. And that's why people spend so much time on branding, networking, and marketing, because they don't want to sell. So get back to the inside job.
So here's one. It says how to get started. And again, I'm not really sure. Get started with the sales conversation or get started in sales, if somebody wants to clarify.
Get started with the business. Get a coach. Anybody want to clarify getting started? How, which way? Okay.
We'll go to the next one.
Okay.
The marketing and sales conversation, or conversion, I'm sorry, conversion. So, and that's a great question. At what point are you out of the marketing conversation and into the sales conversation? I don't know about anybody else, but it's like so hard.
It's, open the door. Well, you're in the sales conversation when either somebody calls you or you call them and you present. When you're presenting what you do, asking if they want one. I mean, that's very simple, but it's not about, oh, well, we love to do this and we love to do that. I mean, the Good Vibe Studio is a venue. We're an arts and entrepreneurs venue where people come to meet, create, collaborate, and celebrate, and alliterate. But, so we rent the venue, we have parties, but Cinder and I are coaches and trainers. We do corporate training there because it's a creative space. So it's really easy to tell people we do creative team building, we do creative sales training, and creative presentation training. So sales and presentation, the number 2 things that you need to be able to really, perfect in order to be a great salesperson. The confidence that comes with that, and feeling good about yourself, and loving what you do, all that stuff. And it sounds really simple, but sometimes it's just reframing what you do. If you don't even like your job, let's say, and it's a means to an end, you just have to reframe it. It's working for you because it's paying for what you really want to do. But that all comes across. I mean, we've all had a bad sales presentation, probably more bad ones than good ones. So.
This is a great question. How do I get people to want to work with me? I do not have name recognition.
Well, does anybody relate to that? You have to start, you take one step at a time. You have to create a brand, you have to create, a plan, you have to create a business plan, a marketing plan. You have to choose where your pillars are going to come from. Where do you see your income coming from? And then you need to go make friends with those people. Marketing has changed so much, even in the last 10 years. We're marketing today. We love doing this for free. We would do this for free all day long, but we also like to do it to get paid. This is how people market. They don't take out ads in the yellow pages so much. You have to relate to people. You have to give them something of value, and they have to, I'm not going to sit here and say I have a lot of, you have to show them. And that's how people brand. We do all kinds of masterminds and free events at the studio to bring people in. They go, oh my God, this is great. How do I sign up for a business incubation? So you have to find a way to showcase what you do. And sometimes that, you need a coach, you need a consultant, you need someone to help you with that, or you can do it all on your own. I met a lady today who's got this brilliant idea. She's been working on it for 6 years. And I said, well, what's going to happen if you don't get some help? She goes, I'm going to be working on this for 6 more years. I'm like, well, so really you can't afford not to get some help. None of us can figure this out on our own. So, I mean, not to, you know, oversell that, but that's, you know, you need some help. Most people need some help. Some training, some help, some consulting with an expert who knows more than you do about what you're trying to do.
What are your tips, suggestions? How would you make the sale with a walk-in client at a fitness gym?
Oh,
It's a good role play.
okay. Okay, that's gonna be our last one, and then we'll stay after if anybody has any other questions.
And we have a booth.
Oh yeah, come by the booth. Okay. A fitness. I did help somebody with that, and I've been to a lot of gyms. I used to have 2 memberships that I didn't go to very much. Okay, they walk in, and kind of similar to Richard. Oh, hi, Cinder. It's so nice of you to come in today. Are you looking for a gym?
Yeah, I was kind of curious. This gym is here. I pass by it every day. I really
Okay.
should get more exercise.
Oh, I know how you feel. Well, do you mind if I ask you a couple questions so I can better clarify what it is I can do to help you?
Okay.
Okay, have you gone to a gym before?
Yes, I have.
Okay, and what did you like about that gym?
Oh, I liked the camaraderie. I really liked the people, and they had nice facilities. It was clean. They had great equipment.
Is there any specific kind of equipment that you really like? So I would go to her. What do you like? What worked before? What didn't work before? Did you have a budget in mind? You know, you have to read her. I can tell she's a little bit, don't sell me, you know. And then I would probably wind up with, well, here's what I suggest. What if we give you a day pass, come in, enjoy the facilities for a day, bring a friend, how about tomorrow at 3, and then if that works out, if you like it, we can go from there. Something like that. Some people are ready to pull out their wallet right there. You have to read it. But she gave me that signal like, she didn't want me to ask her any questions. Jeez. So, you know, how much is it? Well, you know, it's a great question. It depends. And so that's sometimes how you have to answer that question. If they come out with a how much is it, that's a great question everyone wants to know. It will help me to answer that better if I know more about your needs. And that's legit. You know, how much does it cost to rent the studio? I don't know. It's $2,000 for a day, but it might be $175 for 2 hours. Let's find out what you need. There's no one answer to how. You know, so people are more open to being queried if you're trying to meet their needs, and you have to be careful. You don't come off too strong and too aggressive. People don't like that. They want to be chatted with. Everybody likes to buy. No one likes to be sold. So change selling to influencing, and you know, what problem do you solve? They need to know what problem you're going to solve. What problem are you solving for the world? How are you selling happiness? Does anybody know Zappos shoes? All the women. He's an amazing speaker too, and his whole concept is they sell happiness, and he thinks everyone sells happiness. And when you really think about it, shoes make me happy. You know, being successful makes me happy. Everybody has some brand of happiness that they're selling, and that's what people want to know. What problem are you going to solve for me that's going to make me happy? That's the simplest form. You know, who are you going to inspire today, and who's going to inspire you? So, we need to stop because we're done. We will be at the booth. We will be around. We're doing a drawing though.
Yes, we are doing
Cinder's doing a drawing. Come on, Cinder.
So,
For all of your fabulous questions, which we'll be answering online at some point.
They make you do all the hard work.
I know.
here too, right?
Oh, and we have a Facebook page. We have a website, obviously. Oh, hello. See, we usually do this in like a half a day, so here's the
Willing
We're
guinea
going to give these out. This is like the magic book here.
As
I'm giving you a copy of all the slides. Could you just take them and like pass them around so everybody can? All the slides to trigger any. I'm sorry.